Arthur the baker lived a life measured in flour sacks and oven timers. His shop, the warm hearth, nestled on a quiet corner, was fragrant with the comforting scents of cinnamon, yeast, and caramelizing sugar each dawn. Long before the town stirred, Arthur kneaded dough with strong, practiced hands, his only companions the rhythmic ticking of the old clock and the sighing of the oven. Though his bread brought joy to countless customers, a profound loneliness echoed within him, as hollow as an unbaked loaf. He returned each evening to a silent apartment above the shop, where the only sound was the settling of the wooden floorboards, whispering of solitude. The routine was comforting, yet it felt like a recipe missing its most vital ingredient, leaving an ache he couldn't name. One bleak November morning, as icy rain lashed against the bakery window, Arthur discovered a small, trembling shape huddled beneath his delivery cart. It was a blackbird, its usually glossy feathers matted and dark with mud, one wing hanging at a painful, unnatural angle. Its bright, black eye held a look of pure terror and exhaustion. Arthur's first instinct was practicality, a wild bird near the flour. But the creature's desperate shiver, a tiny vibration against the cold stone, pierced through his reserve. Carefully, ignoring the damp chill seeping into his knees, he gathered the fragile bundle in his clean apron, its heartbeat a frantic flutter against his palm, and carried it inside the warm shop. Away from the punishing storm, he fashioned a soft nest from an old tea towel in a quiet corner near the ovens, the gentle, radiant heat providing constant comfort. Arthur, usually precise with measurements, found himself experimenting. Tiny crumbs of his softest milk bread soaked in warm water, a shallow lid filled with fresh droplets. He named the bird Ember, for the dark, warm hue of its feathers glimpsed once he gently cleaned the mud away. Mornings began not just with dough, but with quiet murmurs to the small patient. Arthur would describe the bread he was shaping, the weather outside, or simply hum old tunes while Ember watched, head tilted, its bright eye following his every move. The silence of the bakery transformed, filled now with the soft rustle of feathers and Arthur's low, calming voice. Weeks melted like butter on warm bread. Ember's wing, though it would never be quite perfect, grew strong enough for tentative hops, then short, clumsy flights across the bakery floor, often ending in a soft bump against a sack of flour or Arthur's waiting hand. The bird became Arthur's constant shadow, perching contentedly on a flour-dusted shelf as he kneaded, or hopping along the countertop, curiously inspecting rising dough or stealing a tiny, illicit crumb. Arthur pretended not to see. Customers began to notice the quiet baker's new companion. Children's eyes would light up at the sight of the little blackbird observing them from its perch. "Look, Mama, the baker's friend," they'd whisper, and Arthur would offer a rare, genuine smile, a warmth spreading through him that had nothing to do with the oven. The loneliness receded, replaced by a simple, profound companionship. Spring arrived, painting the world outside in vibrant greens and blossoms. One sunny morning, Arthur left the bakery door ajar to let in the fresh air. As he placed a tray of golden buns in the window, a familiar sound pierced the quiet, the clear, fluting call of another blackbird from the budding maple tree across the street. Ember, perched on the back of a chair, froze, its head snapped up, body tense and alert. It called back, a hesitant, questioning chirp. The call from the tree came again, stronger, more insistent. Arthur's heart clenched like overworked dough. He watched Ember hop to the doorway, looking back at Arthur, then out to the tree, then back again, torn between the safety of the warm bakery and the wild call of its kin, the ancient song of freedom and belonging. Arthur knelt slowly, his flour-dusted knees meeting the worn wooden floor. He met Ember's bright, intelligent gaze. He saw not just a bird he had saved, but a wild creature whose spirit belonged to the open sky, not the comforting confines of flour and yeast. A lump formed in his throat, thick and painful. "Go on, little friend," he whispered, his voice rough with emotion he hadn't known he still possessed. "Your sky is waiting." He gently nudged his hand towards the open door. Ember hesitated one last moment, gave a soft chirp that sounded strangely like a goodbye, then hopped into the doorway with a powerful beat of wings that seemed miraculously strong. It launched itself upwards, a dark arrow shooting towards the maple tree, joining the other bird. They circled once, twice above the bakery roof, their calls mingling, before vanishing over the rooftops towards the open fields. The bakery felt cavernously empty that afternoon. The familiar silence returned, but it was different now. It wasn't just the absence of sound, but the absence of a presence. Arthur worked methodically, the rhythmic thump of dough on the counter echoing in the quiet space. He missed the rustle of feathers, the bright watchful eye, the small weight landing unexpectedly on his shoulder. Yet, as he shaped a loaf, a profound sense of peace settled over him. Warm and golden like his finest bread, he hadn't lost something. He had given something beautiful back. He had been needed, truly needed, and in caring for the broken bird, a part of his own loneliness had mended. Love, he realized, wasn't always about keeping things close. Sometimes it was about opening your hand and letting go. Arthur continued his solitary baking, the dawn rituals, the quiet evenings, but the loneliness never quite reclaimed its old dominion. Every morning, without fail, as the first loaves began to scent the air, a familiar fluting call would sound just outside the bakery window. There, perched on the ledge or hopping on the cobblestones, would be Ember, sometimes alone, sometimes with its mate. Arthur would always step outside, scattering a small handful of his softest breadcrumbs. Ember would hop close, eat daintily, and fix Arthur with that same bright, knowing gaze. They never touched again, but a silent understanding flowed between them. A baker who had found his heart by mending a wing, and a wild bird who never forgot the warmth of the hearth, or the kindness that gave it back. The sky, the simple exchange, witnessed only by the rising sun, filled the quiet space with a gentle, enduring light.